Welcome into the Co-Lin Coaches Show. Today it's all about football, and joining me is head football coach Glenn Davis. Coach, thanks for joining us.
Appreciate you having me, Kevin. Thank you.
Coming off the huge upset win over the number 8 ranked East Mississippi Lions. Coach, just talk about how the team competed and what you thought about the game.
Well, the big thing we thought going into the game was that we were going to have to, make plays at skill positions and be sound up front on both sides of football at the line of scrimmage. And I thought our kids really worked hard all week of doing those things, and I think pretty much the outcome showed that.
And Coach, I think in my recap I put that it was a great show of grit and determination. I've had several people ask me, and I think you really saw it at the end of the game. It felt like our guys just wanted it more at the end of the game.
Well, I think last year a lot of those guys that played Thursday night were guys that played last year's game, and it was the same kind of game. We turned the ball over, and we could have very well held our, tucked our head and kind of pointed the finger at somebody else, but they didn't. And they fought together and hung in there, and it was kind of a tale of two quarters. The first quarter we kind of dominated. The second quarter we shot ourselves in the foot, and third quarter we moved the ball, but we just didn't score as much as we probably could have. And then in the fourth quarter, I thought we really won the fourth quarter by scoring the last 13 points of the game.
And, Coach, obviously there were a lot of impact players, quite a few that you could look at all throughout the box score and kind of talk about and see. But one of the first ones I want to talk about made his impact known early and kind of throughout the whole game. That's your sophomore defensive lineman, you transfer, Billy Co-Lin from Texas.
Yeah, Billy's had a great spring, and he's had a great camp for us this fall. He's a great effort guy, and that's kind of what you have to play on defense is guys that play with effort and emotion, and he definitely has done that for us ever since he's been here.
And Billy, I think if you look at the box score, we had him for 5 total tackles, 2.5 tackles for loss, 2 sacks. Both the sacks were strip sacks, and those were just huge plays.
No doubt. I mean, he's going to always be around the football, and like I say, those 2 sacks and calls. Strips and calls fumbles, those are all big. I think he had 2.5 tackles for losses too. So, he was instrumental in the game defensively.
And I think the next big impact player is a guy that we have talked several times about, and everybody kind of knows everything offensively kind of starts and stops with your quarterback. And Devon Todd, it's not something that I was able to look at until we were getting ready for this, but statistically had his best game in a Wolves uniform, set career highs for completions, yardage, total yards, completion percentage, passer efficiency. Just talk about his game.
He really did. The thing that I think Micah had stressed to him all week in practice was stacking completions on top of completions, and let the receivers and running backs make plays for him. And I thought that he did a good job of making good decisions, throwing the ball to the right people, and not forcing any balls. And I thought that was really big. And anytime you can do that, and I think he was he had 307 yards total passing, had 39 or 59 yards rushing. And that rushing part, that one play that he got on the 3rd and 20 something maybe was probably the play of the game, kept the drive going, and is actually the game-winning drive, I think.
Right. That was, he had about a 30-yard run there that was able to keep the drive moving, and it was deep in the territory, so it was kind of like 3rd and 20. You don't necessarily want to see your quarterback take off, but when he did, he was able to get it, and I think everybody was real happy to see that he was successful in that play.
No doubt. And that's something that he's really improved his game with, is him being able to pull it down and run. And I think it kind of spooks defenses sometimes on what they're going to do. Call that they're scared to flush him out of the pocket. So I think that's a part of his game that's improved. That's really made us better too.
And one other impact player we definitely want to talk about. It's not one you always get to talk about, but special teams player. Special teams are called special teams for a reason, and they were definitely special for the Wolves. And in particular, Brandon Gilliam, 3 for 3 on field goals, 2 for 2 on extra points, hits the game winner with 2 minutes left. Just talk about how big of an addition he's been for this year.
Well, Brandon was a guy that we recruited out of high school, and for probably poor judgment on my part, we should have stayed after him and went a different direction, and then when East Central changed coaches, he became available, and we kind of found out about him late that he'd gone to Northwest, and Northwest assigned a local guy as their kicker, and so he became available again. And we knew right then that he's a guy that we really wanted. Like I say, 3 for 3 field goals, 2 for 2, and extra points. All those kicks meant a lot because we needed every point.
And obviously, he handled kickoff and punting duty as well too. Punting game struggled a little bit. That's kind of what led to East Miss's first touchdown. We'll talk about that a little bit, but did have a 38-yard punt. That was a really pretty kick, really pretty ball there. Flipped the field position game as well too. But I thought where he was really effective also was the kickoff game. Averaged 57.7 yards across 6 kickoffs and had 1 touchback, and really just kind of kept East Miss on that side of the field. Didn't allow big returns as well too.
Yeah, I mean, just give Brandon a little bit of credit. He's his kickoffs were great. The field goals and extra points were great. The punting is something that it starts with the snap and all that, and sometimes those things don't get talked about enough. And so Eli was his snapper, and he had one snap that was kind of bounced back there to him, and I think the first one was the one that he muffed, and that's the great thing about Brandon is he's a competitor, and he definitely didn't intend on dropping it, and he'll learn from it, and we'll get better from it from there.
And obviously some other guys that we want to talk about made big plays were your receivers, and there wasn't just one that stood out. I mean, it was Richard Mays Jr., it was Dakota Thomas, Orion James, Jalen Smith, Jamarcus Melton. You had guys all over the place making plays in the receiving game. Just talk about the receivers as a group and just how well they played for your team.
I think you're right there. I mean, I think it was like 8 or 9 different guys that caught passes, and anytime you're able to spread the ball around, there's not it's not as easy for defense to lock in on one guy. I thought those guys have shown since the spring, since we've gotten some of them there, and then actually adding to those guys in the after recruiting and this summer and transfers. I think they just made us even better, and so I think it's a really good group. They've worked extremely hard. Coach Thompson's done a great job with them. So I think they'll do nothing but get better and better each game here on out.
And Coach, obviously we've talked a lot about the players. Let's go talk about the game itself. You kind of start out. East Miss gets the ball first. You don't let them drive deep in. You get the ball back. You go down, score on your first possession. 25-yard field goal from Gilliam. Just talk about that drive and talk about how you were able to finish off and score early.
Every practice we have a 5-minute segment after extra point field goal that we call fast start. That it's kind of a tempo period that we practice every day. It's for offense, defense. Both of us get something out of it. And it was just one of those things that, you want to get off to a fast start. You want to try to put points on the board in your first drive. The one thing I think we do have to improve on is, it's great to be sure that we get points, but we want to score touchdowns when we get in the red zone. And but the fast start drill, I think, all kind of starts out for us to get practice started every day in the same way we want to start in games.
And so you get points on the board in that first drive. As we said, it's 3-0 after that first drive. Both teams have had a possession here. East Miss gets the ball back again. You keep them from really moving the ball. You get the ball back. You drive all the way down. This time you get a touchdown. Devon Tott's only passing touchdown of the game, a 2-yard pass from Tott to Jamarcus Melton. I think that's Melton's first touchdown of the season as well, too. And I think of his 2 years that he's been here. Just talk about that play. I know it was just a little flat route, but Melton was able to catch it and run it in. Talk about that.
It's kind of the RPO stuff that you see everybody doing in college now. Is that they're faking the run one direction, and they're bringing a receiver or a tight end or in the opposite direction in the flat, and we were able to do that. That's something that we've worked hard on, trying to do it with multiple guys, not just tight ends, but all of our receivers. And Sean did a great job of being where Devon needed to, and he made a good throw.
And obviously, at the end of the first quarter, you're leading 10-0, and I think every coach loves to win a quarter. But when you go out and you pitch a shutout against the number 8 team in the nation, you've got to feel really good about that first quarter.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt. I thought defensively we tackled really well. We were made plays, put pressure on the quarterback, and then offensively, we were ready to get in the end zone. kick the field goal, and anytime you go up 10-0, you feel good about things.
And then the second quarter really belongs to East Mississippi. They take advantage of a couple of miscues. You have the bad snap on the punt that gives them the ball on about the 10-yard line. They're able to punch that in. They turn around later in the quarter and they intercept a pass from Devon. I believe that led to the other touchdown. So you're trailing 14-10 at halftime. What's it like in the locker room at halftime, knowing that you're still right there within distance of this game?
I mean, I think everybody knew that we had put ourselves behind the 8 ball and given them opportunities with 2 short fields to go to score. And the big thing we had to do was correct and clean up the turnovers and miscues that we had on offense. And defensively, we had to go back out and reestablish ourselves as a good tackling team at that point, because the first quarter was really great football. Second quarter we didn't probably tackle as well. And I thought the third quarter and the fourth quarter that we kind of got back going defensively.
And you come out in the third quarter and it is just both teams just going at each other. Neither team's really able to move the ball into the red zone or anything like that. We do force a turnover. Billy Pullen gets his second strip sack of the game. You go down next play. Devon Todd hits Richard Mays on a dime. And unfortunately for Richard, the DB just puts a fantastic hit on the ball and he fumbles right there. But you don't break right there. Even though East Miss gets the ball back, we don't stumble. The team keeps fighting, get the ball back, and then you drive down. And to basically in the third quarter, you get another score to bring it within 1. Huge play during that drive is Devon throwing an absolute dime to Orion James on the sideline. Probably one of the best passes I've seen Devon throw, and just a fantastic catch by Orion. Talk about that play.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a go ball off of one of our pass concepts, and Orion, was athletic guy, great jumper, and just you can really see on film, him going up over the top of the guy and making a catch, and we've kind of given him a little grief about falling down and not scoring. So, but it was a really good play, nice throw by Devon, and like I said, we had good protection up front. And
obviously that leads to a 28-yard field goal by Gilliam. You got about 30 seconds left in the third quarter, but you basically in that quarter and you're down 14-13. Talk about the mood on the sideline and how you felt going into that final quarter.
Well, I mean, I thought, the big thing is, us getting back to things that we had done all ball game. I thought we had called a good game offensively of keeping them off balance. I thought our offensive line really had kind of started wearing down their defensive line. Our runs, early on in the game, there might have been 2-yard, 3-yard gains, but as the game went on, they kept getting bigger, 4 to 6, 7-yard gains, 10-yard gains. And you could really see that in our tempo and our offense. We started playing a little faster, and you could see sometimes they're still, lining up with their hand on the ground or a knee on the ground. And I thought that was kind of the turning point in the game that our front had kind of wore down their front.
And so East Miss gets the ball. They take that possession and they start the fourth quarter. It's about 12 and a half minutes left. They score again, their final touchdown of the game. But probably one of the bigger plays of the game, and maybe the play of the game to that point, is the block PAT. Navarian Benson gets through, blocks the PAT. Billy picks it up. Doesn't get very far on the return. But talk about that block PAT and just how it was able. At that point it's 20-13. You feel like you've still got life because now a touchdown ties it.
Right. It would have been an 8-point game. We still had a chance to tie it, but like I say, scoring a touchdown, kicking an extra point. So, the percentage of that's a lot higher than it is scoring a touchdown in a 2-point conversion. So it was really big, and we'd missed a couple of their field goals and their extra points earlier that we had a chance to block. But the guys did a great job of getting push up front, and those little guys did a good job of laying out and knocking the ball down.
And I think obviously probably the biggest drive of the game to that point is the next drive that you get. You go down and you score and you tie the game. There are 2 huge plays in that. You had a big catch and run by Jamarcus Melton. I think that was about 29 yards. And then you had a 21-yard catch by Dakota Thomas. Just talk about those 2 plays and talk about how your receivers just continued to play throughout the game.
They did, and the 2 guys that threw blocks for Sean on the screen did a great job. Sean split it and got it down the field, and that was big. And then hit Dakota on a vertical route down the hash mark, and those 2 plays were mighty big at times when needed. And like I say, you have to give the Devon credit of throwing the ball and getting it where it's catchable ball, and those receivers doing a good job blocking for each other, and then protection for the pass to Dakota was big. So
and then
really good plays.
And then you finish off that drive with a guy we haven't talked about yet, but had a big game. Johnny Daniels gets a 2-yard touchdown run. Just talk about that. Talk about how he's able to finish off. It was a strong, hard run. I know he had to barrel his way in there, but talk about that scoring play.
Yeah, it was one of our short yardage offense, and the front did a great job of just coming off the ball. There's guys getting knocked in the end zone, and so it was a fairly easy run to score. And I think you had to break one tackle to get in, but the offensive line and the defensive guys that we used for that short yardage package did a great job opening up a hole. And it's kind of like you said, about Johnny. You go back and look at the stats. You don't realize he had close to 80 yards rushing, and it's kind of early on those runs were shorter runs, and as the game went on, they got longer and longer.
Yeah, it just felt like throughout the game you were just kind of wearing them down, and Johnny and Desmond and all the running backs were able to take advantage of it late. The next drive, East Miss gets it. I believe that was a kickoff that went out of bounds, unfortunately, so they get the ball a little bit better field territory than what they've had. They drive down. We missed an interception there. I believe that was Chris Burnett. Jumped up on one. It went out of his hands, and you could see he felt real bad, but you still don't give up any points there. You pretty much stonewall them there. They give you the ball back, and drive right down the field. There's another huge catch right there. This one by Jalen Smith right down the sideline, kind of puts you in the red zone. Talk about that play.
Yeah, it was a play we kind of drew up in the dirt on the sideline. They had been jumping some of our routes, so we ran a kind of a hitch and go or an out and up, and Devon threw a back shoulder throw, and Jalen did a great job adjusting to the football and making a great catch, and got us going, got us in good field position, and then it was really big at that point in the game.
And then that gets you in the red zone. The drive kind of stalls out, but you line up, you show supreme confidence in your kicker. Line up for a 29-yard field goal, and he just nails it right through the uprights. And at that point, it's 23-20, and you've got 2 minutes left. Just talk about the feelings going into those final 2 minutes.
Well, we knew that we were going to have to stop them at some point, whether it was a little bit of time to go or like I say in the 2 minutes to go. But our defense had put pressure, had really, like I say, I thought from the midpoint of the third quarter on, had really put good pressure on the quarterback, and had been getting to him and hitting him a good bit, and that kind of continued in that last drive where we were able to hold them on downs and get the football.
I think a big play in that drive is on the third down play. LaKendrick James gets they get a lot of pressure on him, and he's able to just get his hand out just enough to where he was able to trip up the Lions quarterback there to force the fourth down. It's fourth and long situation, so they've got to throw it right there, and pass goes long, and basically you get to go down, get the ball back, and you get to get in every coach's favorite position, the victory formation, kneel it out, and get your 100th career win here at Co-Lin. Congratulations on that.
Appreciate it. That was mighty big.
And obviously up next, we've got Mississippi Delta this upcoming Thursday on September 14th. What do you know about them? What are we scouting on them?
Well, they've got a second-year head coach that's been coaching in high school for a long time. It's been had great track record of winning championships at several different places, and he's kind of inherited a situation where he's having to build everything from the ground up, and so. Sometimes those things take a little time, and it's a game that when we go into it, we know that we should be favored, and we're going to have to go out and play our best and put ourselves in position to make plays the entire ball game.
And obviously, I think fans that'll come to the game, they're going to be able to see a lot of high-powered offense. Like I said, we had 6 or 7 receivers just all throughout the game making catches. Defense played great, and special teams were, as we call them, special. Just a great time at Stone Stadium, and Coach Davis getting that 100th win, and in upset fashion in the against the number 8 East Mississippi Lions. Polls come out later today, hoping maybe the Wolves will get a little love there. But if not, we're going to keep on going and keep fighting, and it's been a fun first week, that's for sure. We were the talk of the conference from what I saw from a lot of people. I know you probably got a lot of congratulations from coaches, not just on the 100th win, but just getting the win in general.
Yeah, it's been good. I mean, like I say, the 100th win thing is, it's easy to give me the credit, but it's always, I always said it's been a lot of good players and a lot of good assistant coaches that have come through here that, that they're the ones that probably deserve as much credit as anything. So, I appreciate all of them, and like I say, Friday and Thursday night, phone was ringing off the hook, or text messages or whatever from former players and coaching buddies and everything. So it was a good day Friday.
Well, that'll wrap it up this week. Football only again this week, but this upcoming week, we've got football here at H.L. Stone Stadium, Wolves versus Trojans, and then soccer on the road, opening conference play at Hines on Friday at 3 and 5. I'm Kevin Kaiser, Sports Information Coordinator here at Co-Lin. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you next week.